Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Boma. I hope you're having a great day. Today, we will be talking about how to start a commercial cleaning business. As you know, I am the owner of a residential cleaning business, and in my last video, I shared a few tips on how to get started with that. In this video, I'll be talking about how to get started in commercial cleaning. So stay tuned and I will get started. I have my phone here and I'll be looking at it just to make sure I am staying organized and things are making sense. So excuse me if I look away. My first thing I want to talk about is pros and cons of house cleaning versus commercial cleaning. One of the pros of commercial cleaning versus residential is that many people find commercial cleaning to be less grimy. I say less grimy in the sense that, with residential cleaning, you will see all sorts of crap. And what I mean by that is with residential cleaning, you'll see everything from hoarder houses. Some house cleaning companies will even clean human waste. We've been to houses where, it's a senior or a person who's not necessarily physically able and they've just not cleaned their home for years. So you can imagine how bad that looks. With commercial cleaning, it's a bit different because, a company has clients, and for the most part, they're trying to make sure their clients see the best of them. So it means that a lot of times commercial cleaning is quite clean. It may be a bit different with post-construction cleaning, where you have things like dirt and dust. It's a bit more technical, but it's not dirty. So if you're a person who is grossed out by dirt, commercial cleaning may be for you because there are some pretty gross things on the residential side of things. Something else about commercial cleaning is the fact that the margins are a bit better. With commercial cleaning, you're able to go in and out, so you may not have as many labor hours. With residential cleaning, you may be there for a while depending on how dirty it is, so that's one of the advantages. An advantage of residential cleaning over commercial cleaning is the fact that with residential cleaning, you're getting paid immediately. What that means is that with residential cleaning, at least in my case, when a client books with my company, I take their credit card information, and once the booking is complete, we bill them. In fact, before the booking is complete, we put a hold on their account to make sure that they have sufficient funds in the account. We don't charge them, we just put a hold on the account. And what that does is to make sure that I get paid for my services. With commercial cleaning, you don't get paid immediately. Typically, it could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, depending on the nature of the contract where you're waiting. And what that means is that you don't have that same cash flow. And while you're waiting for your client to pay you, you have to pay your employees or contractors for their work. So with commercial cleaning, you have to be a bit more savvy with your cash flow and your money management, because you don't want a situation where because your client hasn't paid you, you are not able to pay your employees. Sometimes also what happens is that, while you're waiting 30, 60, 90 days to get paid, what happens if the company shuts down or they go bankrupt? That happens with commercial cleaning, but you know what they say, there's no reward without risk. I think that's how the saying goes. So those are some things to keep in mind. But now that you know the pros and cons from my perspective, let's talk about how you actually get started. The first thing you want to do is write a business plan. I said in a previous video that I don't believe in those lengthy business plans that are 10, 50 pages. I think a good business plan can be one page where you can talk about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your business. I think you can do a lot of research. In a previous video, I shared how you can research what the gaps are in the market right now and how you can capitalize on that. Those are things that you may want to include in your business plan. Next, you want to register your name. In Canada, at least, we have to register a company name before you can actually register the company. Once you register the name and the name is approved, you can register the company. Once you register the company, you can get started with creating your logo, your website, your social media pages, and doing all your branding. Things to keep in mind for creating a website. Obviously, you want a website that looks professional. So if you're not a website designer, or you don't feel comfortable with your web design skills, please get a professional. I shared before that I love Squarespace. Squarespace makes websites easy to use, efficient, they're sleek, they're nice to look at, they're responsive, they're good in mobile. I am not being sponsored by Squarespace. I just love Squarespace. An alternative for you could be WordPress. WordPress as well is a wonderful place to host websites, and you don't need as much technical experience either to host a good WordPress website. You can also use Blogger. Blogger also has wonderful themes out there, and it's obviously owned by Google, so Blogger could be a good platform for you as well. I have used all three, and they all have advantages and disadvantages, and I think it really boils down to the individual and what their end goals are, but I think all three could be very suitable for a commercial cleaning business. Something else that you want to do when you get started is to get insurance. Liability insurance is very crucial. You do not want to be on the line if your cleaner damages property, if something breaks. There's lots of things that can come up with cleaning where although you may have to pay in a bit, I'd rather pay $200 for a claim than $20,000. Those are the things you have to think about. So I suggest you get liability insurance from the beginning. I live in Canada, in British Columbia, and my liability insurance costs me around $700 per year. So it's not too bad at all. You also want to get workers' compensation insurance as well. Depending on where you live, it may be called something different, but liability insurance is different, and workers' compensation insurance is different and covers you if a cleaner gets injured on the job. You're not personally responsible, and who doesn't want that, right? Next thing you'd want to figure out is pricing. This is something that I struggled with in the past. When I first started my cleaning company, my pricing was a bit too low, and I actually had my pricing on brochures and printed it out, and then a few months later I found out that my pricing was too low, so all those brochures were useless. So before you print out any marketing material that includes cost or starting prices or anything like that to advertise your services, make sure you're very certain about your pricing. Your competition, how much do you charge? Just call and say, hey, I'm in office looking for some cleaning. We're about 1,000 square feet. How much do you charge? Do you charge per square feet? Do you charge per room? Do you charge per hour? Just get some intel from them, write all those notes down, and then compare to what you have for your vision for your company. So, do you want your cleaners to make $18 per hour? Do you want to make 50% in profit? Make all those calculations and decide what pricing works for you. But I think it's important that you sort of get a sense of what the pricing in the market is. You don't have to go low. In fact, I think my approach has always been to be the higher end of things in terms of pricing. But I think once you get an idea of what's happening in the market, you actually will have a better idea of how to price your own services. Something else you want to do when setting up is to start working on your contracts. That's something else that you can use the power of the internet to look into. There's websites like Proposify and a few others out there that will help you write a proposal or contract. I think you should have all these ready, so when you get your first client, you're not scrambling, you're good to go. You can send the documents immediately and can impress everybody from the get-go. Something else I will encourage you to start on is to compile a cold call list. It's not something you have to do yourself. If you're busy, you can get a freelancer to look through emails of local commercial contacts in your area, so you know who to contact once your business is on the go. I would also start an email list from the beginning. I think it's easy to start all these things when you're setting up as opposed to when you're in the business and already kind of hustling. Your email list can be done on MailChimp. I love MailChimp. It makes it easy to send email campaigns. Squarespace also has an email campaign side of things as well. So get that email list going, so once you get clients, you're able to stay in contact with them and you'll let customer relationship management. The next thing you want to think about with your commercial cleaning company is equipment. The thing about commercial cleaning is that equipment is considerably a lot more expensive for commercial cleaning versus residential. Something else I've found is that vacuums on the residential side of things tends to be not that great. And so you would want to do a lot of research into equipment that you need. Obviously, if you're going to go with the contractor route, which I will talk about in my next point, you don't need equipment because your contractors will get that equipment for you and will bring it to their jobs. But if you're going to get employees, you're going to need to have equipment. And the most important equipment you're going to need is a vacuum. Personally, I love backpack vacuums. They're vacuums that you can use cleaning stairs, cleaning high locations, cleaning ceilings. You don't want a handheld vacuum because they're not as multi-purpose. Backpack vacuums can clean all the things, and they also look very cool. Clients are always impressed when a cleaner walks in and they have their backpack vacuum and they're ready to go. The downside is that they are quite pricey, but I will share with you a list of vacuums that I recommend in the description box down below. In my last video about cleaning, I shared that I love Dawn detergent. It's something that we use in a residential and cleaning side of things to clean bathrooms. It's really cheap. You can get it for less than $1, and it will clean anything and leave it shiny. So if you're looking for cheap solutions and things like that, go with Dawn. You can also make your own cleaning solutions. There's lots of videos on YouTube on how to do that. So don't be scared. If you don't want to invest a lot of money into cleaning solutions, make it yourself. It's not that hard. You'll also want to get extension cords. It's something I learned when I started. Some vacuums don't have long extension cords, even if they're for commercial cleaning. So bring an extension cord so you can go around a huge property without having to disconnect and reconnect to closer outlets will be your friend. So look into extension cords if the vacuums you have are not super long, because you will need it. Now I'm going to talk about employees versus contractors. There's pros and cons to each, and you can do your research online to learn more. But in a summary, contractors are independent workers. You cannot give them detailed instructions. They manage their own schedule. They work as they please. They bring their own equipment, and they pay their own taxes. Employees, on the other hand, are your staff. You can give them directions. They can wear a uniform. They can follow a strict schedule. You can supervise them, and you have to pay the payroll taxes and everything on their salary. So there's pros and cons to each. I think going the contractor route is an easier, cheaper way to start, because you're working with people who have their own equipment and their own cars and things like that. However, please note that many people find this distinction between employees and contractors to be quite confusing. And the past few years, there has been a crackdown on cleaning companies that are going the contractor route, because labor offices find out that these contractors are actually not contractors, they are employees. And when the labor office finds out that you have misclassified your employees as contractors, you may be responsible for paying back taxes. So before you decide if you want to go contractors or employees, please make sure you do your research and you choose the right option that works best for you. Something else that you probably hear when it comes to hiring is hire slowly, fire fast. I don't know if I agree with that, because I think that in the cleaning business, there is a huge turnover, and sometimes you have to hire incredibly fast because you have to meet deadlines. I do agree that you should fire fast, but I think sometimes you may also have to hire quickly. What I think is important is that you empower yourself to be able to hire the best employees or contractors out there. Things that you should look out for is, the obvious things. Make sure that they show up on time for the interview. Make sure that they have good grooming. Make sure that they're good communicators. Make sure that they have cleaning experience. Make sure that they have a criminal record check. You don't want people who steal your customers' things. So make sure you're properly vetting your employees, even if you're hiring them quickly. And once cleaners mess up, I say do not hesitate to fire them. It's something I've had to learn the hard way. I had a cleaner who was constantly late to appointments, but he was the nicest guy. He gave me all the reasons why this was happening, and I kept giving him chances because he was actually a really good cleaner. And one day, one of my biggest cleaning clients, a commercial account, had an event at their office, and they gave me a month's notice just saying, hey, we usually, let's say, clean on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but this week we'll like to clean on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday because we have an important event in our office. So make sure your cleaner is there and make sure that they clean up before, 7 a.m. on a Saturday. I told the cleaner, he confirmed that he was going to be there, and I said, wonderful, great, thank you. And on early morning on Saturday around 7, I got a call from the office saying, your cleaner didn't show up. Our place is dirty. And I'm like, what? What do you mean he didn't show up? Like, I told him, he confirmed he's going to be there. So I had to scramble, get another cleaner into there last minute. Obviously, my commercial client was not impressed and they terminated our account. So because of my hesitation to fire a cleaner who I should have fired much earlier on, I lost thousands of dollars a month. Not to even think about how much I lost in the long term. So when I think about that, I'm like, lessons learned. So yeah, don't hesitate to fire people if they show you that they're not reliable. When people give you any sort of reasons, I know sometimes you just think of, I don't have any other cleaners right now, I'm under capacity. Hire all the time, and so you don't hesitate to fire people because you're desperate. One of the really good sites for hiring is Indeed. I have ads on Indeed all the time, so people are constantly sending in their applications. I tell people, please don't call me, send in your application via the website because, I have a busy day. I don't want people calling me, asking me about their application. And it just means that you have a steady stream of people to choose from and hire when you need to. Next thing I'll say you should think about when you're starting is what sort of marketing approach your company will take. Are you going to cold call? I highly recommend that. When I first started my cleaning company and I was wanting to get commercial contracts, I would call people every morning around 8:30 when people are getting to the office. I would call between around the hours of like 8:30 to 10 when people are in the office. They're starting their day, they're next to their desk. Call places like daycares, real estate offices, small offices, lawyers' offices, things like that, where people are at their desk in the morning. I would call just to make sure that people knew who I was and asking them if they needed cleaning. So I think cold cleaning is a really important thing to do at the beginning. You can also send cold emails, although sometimes those go to spam, but typically I would follow up a cold call with a cold email. I think that's a really strong approach. Something that people don't do too much of anymore because, who's calling you to ask you if you need cleaners, right? And if you're not sure what to discuss with cold calls, I would say use your first few cold calls as intel. So if you're wondering what sort of needs do a daycare have in terms of cleaning, your first few conversations with the daycare owner or daycare staff, ask them, hey, what do you need right now in terms of cleaning? What are the challenges you face? What are the things you love about your current cleaner? Even if they don't hire you, you're empowered with the information, and in your next few phone calls, use that information to sell your services. Say, we're really good at being on time, we use eco-friendly supplies, we're never late. Stuff like that is something that, would make you stand out in terms of just calling and giving a generic pitch as to why they should hire your cleaning company. I think when you're first starting out, like I mentioned earlier, go with smaller offices, lawyers' offices, small clinics, daycare centers and things like that. Stay away from large places like schools, dealerships, because you may not have the right equipment early on to manage a huge job. But smaller offices, although you're making a much smaller revenue from them, they are much better to start out because you're getting your foot in the door, you're making money, and you can also build your reputation through word of mouth. Something else to note with hiring employees for commercial cleaning is that commercial cleaning typically has weird hours. Typically, you're cleaning when they are not in the office, so you're cleaning in the morning or you're cleaning at night. So there is more of a challenge with hiring employees for commercial cleaning. Something else I've noticed is that I have a lot of women cleaners for residential, and on the commercial side of things, I have a lot of men. I'm not sure why there's that gender disparity, but that's my observation. So it may be a challenge to find cleaners who are wanting to clean at odd hours. And something else is that you also want a cleaner who's really good at working independently and a cleaner who can work quick, because these cleaners are working alone and you want to make sure that they're not spending all night at a job that can be done much faster and billing you for that time. Something else that you should not be scared to do is to hire people over the phone. My company is internet based. I have online booking, online chat, text message support, and things like that. Sometimes not in the country, and I'm not scared to hire cleaners over the phone or over video conferencing because I don't think I have to meet a cleaner in person to hire them. I think when you have a good eye for hiring and you want to have an independent lifestyle, you may have to get creative in terms of hiring people, and I encourage you to embrace that. On the marketing side of things, something that's often ignored is search engine optimization. I personally didn't start search engine optimization, also known as SEO, until much later, and it's something I wish I had started much earlier. You could hire a marketing agency to do your SEO work for you, but I think SEO is something that you can do on your own. There's lots of videos out there to empower you to optimize your website and make sure that you're ranking quite well on Google. So please don't ignore SEO until it's too late. Start your SEO marketing efforts from the beginning. The next thing you want to do is to network. Commercial cleaning, unlike residential cleaning, is very word of mouth, networking based. So choose carefully where you network. In my last video, I mentioned that in terms of networking, I network with people much older than me because oftentimes company owners, house owners are much older. I'm not working with 22-year-olds. You know, it is quite rare that I get a 22-year-old who's calling me, and typically it's at the end of the semester and they have a house of like 5 guys and then they need a cleaner because they're moving out and it's completely dirty. Those are one-time cleans and they're wonderful, but they're not sustainable. You get a lot of profit with the recurring cleans. So make sure you're networking with people in the right places. Don't forget to use LinkedIn as a tool to network. I think that oftentimes people think of, the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, as a place to network. There's pros and cons as to where you should list your websites and places to network, but don't forget to do some networking. I'm part of the Rotary Club, and the Rotary Club is an organization that is full of like-minded business owners, and that's a wonderful place to advertise your services. Although Rotary is not a place to advertise your business, Rotary is a place where you can develop wonderful relationships and connections, which can provide valuable networking opportunities down the line. What else you want to do is that you think of down the line. Do you want to expand? What does that look like? Do you want to hire a person to run operations? What does that look like? Something I suggest is writing down a manual. The manual will have every little detail of what you do for the business. How do you hire? How do you fire? How do you market? How do you post on social media? All the daily things that you do that an employee would find useful, write it down. Things like, what do cleaners do when they arrive? Do they call you? Do they call the client? What do they do when they're done? Are they taking photos of the place? Are they sending those photos to you? Are they sending the photos to the clients? All the little instructions that you may not think is useful, I say you should write it down because it's something that the next person, such as your marketing manager or your operations manager, may find really useful when you want to step away, step back from the business when you go on vacation or want to move on to other things. Finally, I would like to encourage you to not be scared to expand. Expand to a city next to you, franchise your business, think of ways that your business can grow. And for me, I love the thought of expansion because I don't think expansion should only be for multinational corporations. I think small business owners can also think of expanding their business past their current city. A book I think you should read is called Cleaning Up for a Living. I will put a link in the description box. It has lots of important information for cleaning company owners out there. And if I think of anything else, I will also include that in the description box as far as tips are concerned. Feel free to comment below, ask me any questions about your cleaning company and my advice, and I will respond. So thank you for watching. Like I said, I have a playlist of cleaning videos and entrepreneurship advice, so please check it out. Talk to you later. Bye.